That's a lot of water. I can see why you called it the flood.
Yeah.
Wow. Today we're on the road to go visit some friends in western North Carolina that were affected by Hurricane Helene not too long ago. At this point in our trip, we're like 2 hours or so away from home, away from our farmstead. And for some reason, I don't know why exactly, maybe it's because of all the different videos that I saw on social media, I thought that this area, as we got into western North Carolina, we would just see complete devastation everywhere. Honestly, going through this area, things don't look as bad as I thought that they would be. There's a few fallen trees here and there, but I expected more. But I also understand that there's also more flooding that's happening too. See if we can see any signs of that. But as we got closer and closer to Asheville, we saw more and more fallen trees. And we would also see these huge piles in numerous places of logs, of trees and branches, of brush, debris, just piled up as part of cleanup efforts in these areas. We were looking forward to seeing our friends, but I was also a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, not knowing what all we would see as we're traveling through these areas. And everyone's just looking out the window constantly to see what we may see. Right now we're in downtown Asheville, an area that was hit really, really hard by the hurricane. So, interesting coming through here. And things looking somewhat back to normal.
Just driving by, you wouldn't think that the devastation just happened here at the end of September. Like, I'm sure nothing's back to normal, but just driving through, like, traffic's going, like, all of these things, life still goes on, but I know it's not how it was.
Once we got off the highway, we saw more traffic than we normally see when we travel these roads. And that's because of the traffic that's being detoured because of closures on I-40 and other roads. And finally, after 3.5 hours away from home, we arrived in the town of Hot Springs. Over the years, we've traveled through this town numerous times, going to go see family and friends in Tennessee and other areas. And it's sad to see how much the hurricane has affected this area. Just driving through it, we can see it. Hurricane Helene devastated this small mountain town. But believe it or not, it wasn't from the winds. It was from all the water that came from the rain and the flooding that happened here. And the waters wreaked havoc on all the businesses in this town, forcing them all to close. Wow, it's just crazy. And after our short drive through Hot Springs, we next arrived at our destination, the homestead of Ken and Amy. And Ken and Amy were huge blessings to us at our first ever homesteading event that we put together with our friends, the Ings and the Bonds. Ken and Amy were a tremendous help helping to make things run smoothly at our event, the Jamboree. And this was our first time visiting them and seeing their mountain homestead. Their homestead is on top of the mountain, and it is just beautiful. They raise sheep, chickens, ducks, and more. And during our visit with them, we stayed in one of their rental cabins, which is their primary source of income.
Climbing.
Oh, look, they got a fire going and everything for us. It's all warm in here.
Baby.
What's back here? What? What? This is awesome. 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 Car.
You like the view here? Is it pretty out there? Say pretty.
Pretty. Bed.
Bed's pretty too.
Dada.
In addition to the cabin that we're staying in, Ken and Amy also have 4 other rental cabins. And the name of their rental business is Mountainside Cabins. They rent out all 5 cabins as either vacation rentals or for long-term stays. And while I was there, they gave me a tour of some of the cabins.
No, I don't know what it was.
Most of the cabins around here were built in the late 90s.
Okay.
And we're the 3rd owners. And then the people before us they didn't live on site, so it kind of got beat up by not the original caretakers that they had, but the replacement caretakers that they had. They didn't really take care of the place. So when we bought it, we've been trying to restore it and pick it up, the insides, the outsides.
And I find their story interesting. A number of years ago, Ken left the corporate world to buy this property and cabin rental business. And he and Amy have been building it up and improving on it the past few years, renting out these cabins to guests who come to the mountains for a getaway, as well as guests that come here because of a nearby wedding venue. And they've had a few people that like being here so much, they decided to do long-term stays here. But this business and property is what led Ken and Amy to homesteading. So you left the corporate world to have a cabin rental business, which led you into homesteading. How did you get to homesteading from that?
The homesteading part was 6 chickens.
Okay.
And then it just went from there.
Oh, that's usually how it starts.
But then
Just
he
with
started-
chicken's math.
He started researching sheep after that.
So in 2019, we built a chicken coop. January 1, 2019, for the 6 chickens. Amy wanted the chickens. She was working at a nature school. I didn't want anything to do with the chickens. I still had a job off site. And a few years later, after the world opened back up, after being stupid, we got really busy. And what we were doing, we were offering basically like a roasted chicken meal to our guests. And that was going over really well because it was a chicken, potatoes, just a whole roasted meal. Went over so well, we ran out of roosters. We ran out of friends with roosters. And we had to find a way to do chickens fast. So that's how we ended up getting into Cornish Cross, which we raised probably 5 batches a year now, 35 per batch. And we were like, well, if we're going to be doing this, let's expand a little bit more. So we started looking at sheep. And we found a breed of sheep that we really liked. It was a triple header of sheep. It's wool, it's meat, and it's dairy. And it's an East Frisian Tunis mix. And the sheep came here and are thriving. We're going to be starting our 3rd lambing year starting next year or so. And that's just kind of how it all rolled.
Wow, that is interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting. So with doing this as long as you have now, do you think that having some type of rental business could be an option for homesteaders looking to make some additional income on a property that it could work on?
I'm going to say yes and no.
Okay.
Because like your animals require a lot of attention. Whether you're moving fencing, whether you're feeding, whether you're watering, so do guests. Guests require the first attention. So you have to make sure that you're able to budget your time accordingly to make sure your guests are taken care of coming into your cabins or whatever rental unit you're doing, so that sustains itself. because that could get negative really fast.
So is there a certain type of renter that you guys receive on a normal basis? What type of people enjoy coming here to rent from you? And what type of activities do they do when they come here? Are they looking to just get away as a vacation, or what do they do?
Typically, the people who rent from us, they like to come to town for either hiking or getting out into nature, getting away. Before the flood, people would come to the hot springs. There's a lot of different places in town to eat. There's breweries. Dollywood isn't too far away. Asheville isn't too far away. But this is a nice like middle ground for people to come visit.
And one thing we do really cater to is lack of technology. We do have Wi-Fi for guests, but that's really just to stay in touch with their family members when they're here. But it's come out here, enjoy the peace, enjoy the quiet, have a campfire out back, and just relax.
That's like one of the first things that we did when we got here was took out the TVs. It's like you don't come out to the middle of nowhere just to watch TV.
So you guys offer a place to disconnect.
Yes.
Yes.
Here we go.
And reconnect.
And reconnect.
Disconnect to reconnect.
Yeah, exactly.
And during the time that they were giving me a tour of the last cabin, I had to ask them more about their experience during Hurricane Helene, or AKA Event Helene, or as Ken and Amy often refer to it as the flood. So you referred to it as the flood. Tell everybody what you mean by that.
The flood, Hurricane Helene. I usually call it the weather event, or just the event Helene, where was it 2 months ago now, where Hurricane Helene came through the area and basically ravaged western North Carolina. The town of Hot Springs, the town of Marshall, Burnsville, Spruce Pine. I mean, there's a line of towns that are just decimated because of that storm. Here at Mountainside, not so much. We had a few trees down, but we're also 300 feet above the river, so thankfully we didn't get hit. But our neighbors did. They're only half-mile away, and we'll probably go down there and show you what that looks like.
All right, so I got to hear more. Can we sit down right here?
Yeah, that's absolutely.
All right, so describe the experience of what you all dealt with during the hurricane, the flood, the event.
Okay. Well, it started a few days before because we had all this rain just come into the area. It was just, I don't know how many days straight it just rained and rained and rained. Then when the hurricane hit us, it wasn't super bad right here, for the most part. We had some wind, we had rain, but nothing like other areas. Then all of a sudden, here in this area, we were concerned about our neighbor that ended up moving in with us because we got a phone call, said go check on her. We had reports saying that she was out of her place. So by the time we got down the mountain and started down Paint Rock Road to where she lives, the water was already up, and I'll show you the water line later. It was already so far up that we couldn't get down to her house. Wow. Somebody actually called in a swift water rescue.
Wow.
For her and one of her neighbors.
Was she able to be rescued?
Yeah, she was able to be rescued. And while they were doing the swift water rescue, I had my side-by-side, and I was going over two of our neighbors' properties to pick up other people that they couldn't get to with the swift water. Yeah. So because of the layout of the mountain, I was able to go over two neighbors' properties on the side-by-side and pull out about 12 different people.
Wow.
Just using the side-by-side.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, man. As we descended down the part of the mountain that Ken and Amy live on, they began describing to me what the experience was like after the hurricane once they came down to check on some of their neighbors. And Ken said that the water in this creek that is usually only a couple inches deep rose a lot. And
it almost got to his porch.
wow. So that little bit of water down there had so much water it went right up to that porch of that house.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Here's the footage that Amy recorded, and you can see the neighbor's red barn and the floodwaters that covered pretty much his entire property.
Yeah, we will hear that.
And as we got onto the main road that leads to their house, here's what Amy described seeing.
So from this point forward, this whole road was underwater.
Oh man, that is like so hard to believe. So all this from the creek over here came over?
But it was also backing up from the French Broad up this way.
Oh wow.
This feeds into the French Broad.
So, wow, you couldn't go anywhere.
No.
And how long was that for that you couldn't access this road?
What was it? A couple days?
A couple days.
Before everything
Receded, yeah.
Wow. Wow. So you could get out the other way though,
Yes.
thankfully.
Yes.
Wow.
That is the way out.
Wow. And down the road here is where they have neighbors that were hit the hardest. So it looks like all of this was water
all-
running through there.
So all
Yes.
this is from the creek and the river.
Wow.
That trestle in front of us was a pathway, so you could actually drive under there.
You could drive under right,
Yes.
right there. Oh wow.
but not anymore. There's so much.
No one lives there, right?
No, she's over there.
Okay. Wow.
So we're actually on another cross under of the creek that feeds into the French Broad,
Wow.
and then
Is all this over here? I can see looks like the dirt has been moved a little bit.
This is actually from a tractor trailer driving all the way back here.
Oh wow.
And that, all this here, the tractor trailer busted that wellhead.
Oh no. Oh man.
an 18-wheeler.
Whoops.
That's because I-40
Whoop.
closed and all the tractor trailers are coming through here. And
Wow.
they don't know where they're going.
So it was an effect from the hurricane, just not the way that you think it would be. Oh man.
But all this was underwater here.
Wow. And I'm guessing they really couldn't get out of their house for a while right here.
Nope.
No.
Oh boy.
No, these are some of the people that we had to take out the back way when there
Wow.
was the swiftwater rescues going on.
So you got people living here in this area that was just completely covered in water. Amy also took footage of this area, and the floodwaters were everywhere, flooding the houses and covering the road and the railroad track.
Oh.
Wow. And we're going down there?
Yes.
Oh wow.
We're gonna park right over here. I was actually coming, the road wraps around that way, and I was actually coming down that way to pull people out over properties.
So thankfully there was another way that you guys could access getting over here
Yes.
to help them out. And thankfully you had your side by to get over and help. Wow. Wow.
We used to mow it, and I mean this was a pristine little piece of property.
Oh wow. So you said this used to be grass
Oh yeah.
in here?
This was all beautifully manicured grass, and now it's all sand.
Wow.
There's actually a memorial down here that we used to take care of. Hayfield over behind where you're at, Mike. But all these rocks were put into place by friends of ours. It was a very pretty property, and now it's all sand and debris.
And if you see those hay bales right behind you, they floated from that field over there, just right on down the tracks, and there's some more there.
Oh wow.
And like in the days leading up to the flood, it was kind of sad because he moved all of his hay up, thinking that it was going to be high enough, but it wasn't.
Oh man.
Now you'll hear some people talk about the PVC plant. Well, there's some of the PVC that's from the plant.
Oh wow, just washed on over here.
Wash all the way down.
There's so much of it.
Wow.
In the river. more over there.
Wow.
And they actually hauled a lot of it off already.
I can only imagine what it looked like here right after the flood. But even with some cleanup having already happened here, there's still a whole bunch of trash, pipes, and other items.
This pile
Okay.
of tree debris was probably about at least 20 feet high.
Wow.
They piled it up and burned it down, so start clearing it out. But you can still see there's a lot of plastic in there, a lot of garbage in there. There's a lot of debris that washed down the river.
So who all is taking responsibility for the cleanup of different things like the PVC pipe, and you said this pile was high, it had to be burned down. Who's doing all this?
You have a lot of people trying to do the right thing. So property owners, hire people in. Friends and family come in and help clean things up. But I think officially, according to Madison County, it's the Army Corps of Civil Engineers are responsible for the entire cleanup.
Okay. I have never seen this much sand in the mountains. Feels like I'm at the beach or something. This is crazy. Wow.
I mean, this was grass.
Wow. Is this area normally sandy like this?
No,
Where'd all the sand come from?
You have no idea. You have no idea where all this sand came from, but it's here. And we know the best. We know you shouldn't be scraping it too much.
Yeah.
We got to treat it and deal with it. I don't know what the answers are, but
Wow. It just blows my mind. This is like, check this out, like right here. That's not a little bit of sand.
that's a mountain of sand right there.
That's a lot of sand.
I mean, sand castles for days.
Yeah. You go to the beach to make a sand castle, not the mountains, but here you can.
No.
No, and this was the hayfield. See all those rocks? Now it's like a rock field.
Wow.
And there's another little creek over here.
They actually had to re-dig the creek because after all this, the creek was just kind of floating all over, didn't know where to go.
Wow.
So they had to re-dig because that is actually a property line, I believe.
Dude, wow.
But this creek used to be like a nice little rock bed that you could walk through, flip rocks, look for like little crawdads and stuff, but now it's all sand and
Wow.
So many of the creeks and the rivers that I'm seeing now lately have like this green tinge to them.
That sounds
And usually
toxic.
they're clean.
So is that from waters that are coming, I guess, down the mountain, not necessarily from up top, like where this one's coming from? It's maybe coming through toxic areas, maybe? Waste areas?
it seems like it's coming through waste areas as far as we could tell. Or there's just something still sitting in the water or along the property lines or along the river lines, the riverbeds that are toxic.
Wow. What was that right there?
That was
The
a little
bridge?
bridge that was over this creek
Wow.
because there was such a drop down into the creek. It was like a 4 or 5 foot drop. So to get over to the other side, they had a little bridge.
Wow. And these are some of the trees that got knocked down.
But we were down here and there was a line right in this area of leaves. So you could tell the water already came up
Yeah.
and then receded.
Wow.
And that was the thing, the river came up a couple times and receded. So I don't think anybody was expecting it to do what it did.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it's over the railroad tracks,
Wow.
like in no time whatsoever.
And how far of a drop down was it originally here again?
It was about 8 feet down to the river.
About 8 feet. 8 feet. It doesn't seem like that's possible with everything that's here right now. 8 feet.
I mean, we used to go swimming down here.
Wow. I don't think I'd go swimming in here anymore.
No, that's no longer an option.
So in the days following the flood, we'd come down here and even sometimes up at our house, there was actually kind of this smell. Kind of like chemically smell, but it was also kind of like a death smell. Hung around for a couple weeks.
Hung around for a while, yeah. And it wasn't like a processing day kind of death smell. because it had like the toxic smell with it. It's hard to explain, but yeah, it was pretty nasty.
Man,
It was eerie.
I didn't even smell it. It makes me gag just thinking about it. Oh man.
I mean, cows got washed into the river. There was a field up there. There's, I hate to say it, there's people that got washed away. Gas tanks, houses. There's everything
Propane
in this
tanks, yeah,
river.
everything.
Everything.
Cars, trucks. I mean,
And it's just a mix of all of that.
Yeah.
And usually this time of year, this river's clear.
Wow. It's clear.
usually.
And now it's
It's not.
I don't know what that is. Color. Gray?
gray brown.
Yeah. Wow.
it's definitely not a pleasant color to look at.
Yeah. Yeah. And logically thinking, all those different things that you mentioned would create a smell that would definitely not be pleasant.
I mean, it wasn't like it was overpowering, but it was just like, it was just
It was just there.
in the air.
Yeah. And like even like in like the bugs. That's one of the things I thought was weird. The sound of the bugs. It wasn't just like at nighttime. It was all the time for days. Yeah. Like all like in the morning, in the afternoon, all the
That
time.
just
The
seems weird.
smell, the sound of the bugs was just there.
Sad. And while we were out there looking at the properties of their neighbors, one of the neighbors whose house was hit bad, really bad, so bad that they probably have to demolish the place. But she was out there picking up trash.
And this is not mine.
Oh, and that washed up here and it's not yours.
It's not mine. That's this. Because me picking up garbage, I'm going to be here for 20 years.
Yeah.
There needs to be, I'm not saying that the government needs to do it or anything like that. You can see, even if you want, all of these little shards all over the place. And I'm that anal that I'm picking them all up and piling them here. Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's going to be a challenge.
I think my biggest takeaway out of all of this experience here on this trip is that yes, there are a number of places that have been spared in western North Carolina from damage, but then there's also a lot that have been hit very, very hard, like Ken and Amy's neighbors here, whose lives have been turned upside down from the damage and devastation here.
It's been hard in America. It's been tough feeling sad. It's been hard in America. I never thought it'd get so bad. I wish that I had a big jet plane, fly the tears away. Maybe I'd find a river so wide and drift away all of the pain. But it seems there's more to do. There's more to love we've yet to find. Oh yeah, it's true, we may stumble through, but all we have is precious time. It's hard to see in America.
Just before sunset, we headed back to Ken and Amy's, where I talked with them about how Helene and the flood has impacted their lives, even though their property has been spared. Ken, Amy, thank you for showing me your neighbor's property that you're looking after. Just, man, I'm just amazed at what I saw there.
We appreciate you coming out and getting some footage and just seeing what's going on out here.
Yeah, and I'm sure the neighbor who doesn't live there full time appreciate you all looking after their
Oh, yeah.
property. But I can't help but wonder, I'm sure others are as well, how has Hurricane Helene, the flood, how has it affected your business here with your rentals and life?
Well, in a nutshell, the business is shut down because it's a touristy business. It's a cabin rental business where people come out on vacation to go see the area. And with the businesses in the town of Hot Springs being shut down due to the flood, a lot of trails are an issue. I know the forests, some of them were actually closed.
They were closed, yeah.
Wow.
They closed the trails because if somebody got hurt out on the trails, they didn't want any of the first responders to have to go after somebody out on the trail when they needed them in town.
And then another aspect is with the wedding venue across the street, we get a lot of guests staying for that. Well, they had to cancel all of their weddings for the rest of this year because of the hurricane.
All the weddings have been...
Yep.
Wow.
So.
And October was, or usually is, our biggest month because of leaf season.
Yes.
You know, people will come out here. That's just like the big time for everybody to come out to western North Carolina to see the leaves.
So what percentage of your business would you say has been cut? 100%, 90%, 75%?
At this point, as far as the vacation rentals, it's 100%.
Wow.
Well, that's why we looked at supplementing for long-term.
Wow.
You know, and hopefully that'll work out.
Okay, so one of the pivots I guess you're making with your business now is instead of having the tourist rentals, vacation rentals, you're looking to do more long-term rentals with your property?
Yes, to provide something affordable for people that want to be in this kind of lifestyle, but may not necessarily have the means to buy their own homestead.
Okay.
You know, if they want to come out, you know, stay in one of the cabins, kind of help out on the farm if they want to, or if they just want to buy a place to get out to and live.
One of the things that I noticed being down there at your neighbor's property is one of the ways that it seems like people could help who don't live in the area, like me coming to visit. It seems like just picking up trash is definitely needed. And I know it's not the most glamorous job, but it definitely seems like there's something needed. And with that, I was wondering, is there any available trash pickup? Just see trash in all kinds of areas.
Honestly, I don't know. I know there's different river organizations doing river cleanup.
Okay.
But as far as I've seen officially, there's been nothing saying that we'll come get whatever.
Wow.
You know, whether it's the massive piles of PVC or the house debris or propane tanks.
Wow. So what are you all doing right now with the trash? Just taking it gathering up, taking it to the landfill, or how does that work?
Yeah, a lot of people are taking it to the landfills or the local pickup stations. Or they're just leaving it piled and hoping somebody comes to get it.
Wow,
you know?
wow.
Yeah, because some of the material is like it's metal, so that could be recycled and, you know, maybe get some money for that. And others like building material where, you know, you have to be able to get that and haul that off to the landfill.
Yeah, wow.
And a lot of people don't have the means to do that.
So in your situation, what are some of the ways that some of the viewers could help you all out as well as maybe the community as well?
If they want to come out and stay with us for a period of time and then be able to volunteer in town, there are ways that you can sign up to volunteer, whether it's at a business or do river cleanup. That would be one way. Another way is, you know, we sell chicken and eggs, and if people want to send a donation to us, and we can bring the chicken and eggs to people who are in need in the community.
That's neat. So you guys are doing a number of things to help your community. So tell me a little bit about that, if you don't mind. Showing me, you got a number of items here.
All right, we were blessed with 120 of these microgreens kits from True Leaf Market. So we are going to partner with the local nature school and the elementary school, and we're probably going to have a workshop coming up in January on how to grow microgreens, so we're really excited about that. And in the spring, once we get the greenhouse up and running, we plan on growing a bunch of greens and being able to provide the town with fresh produce throughout the summer.
Okay.
Bootstrap Farmer also sent them microgreen and seed starting kits to help them with starting all these seeds for their community.
Talk about a blessing. It's Well, and that's why we reached out to, True Leaf, because, we need something to put in the trays.
Yes.
So the combination of the trays and inserts from Bootstrap Farmer and the seeds from True Leaf Market, that's what we're planning on putting in the greenhouse once we get it built, in order to grow and give food to the people here. Good food to the people.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. You guys are set up well. You got the trays there. You got all the seeds here. Lots of seeds. Mm-hmm. You all should be able to grow a bunch of food for people. And that's really amazing that you guys are doing this and to help the community.
Well, we've been blessed with it, so it's kind of our responsibility to bless others with it, you know?
Because we can't just take it in. We are vessels to pay it forward. So a vessel takes in order to pour out.
Yes.
And if the more we can magnify this blessing that the Lord has given us, and it's not for our glory, it's not nothing to do with us at all. It's all to give honor and glory to God.
And that is amazing. And to help you with your efforts, Murray McMurray is also going to donate a gift certificate for you guys to help with that.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there we go. Through all of this, what are some lessons that you all have learned that you think maybe others can benefit as well from?
Well, we had some holes in our preparedness, so you can't really be over-prepared, I think. So we kind of learned a little bit from that, but also a big thing was you got to realize you're not in control of anything. I mean, you might have your plan on what you're going to do tomorrow and next week and next month, but that can be gone instantly. And having the peace and the serenity, knowing that God's got this. You might not know what's going to happen tomorrow or next week, but He does. And if you're able to rest in that peace and that comfort, and not be all anxious about what tomorrow's bringing. Yeah. I'm preaching to myself here, because there's some days I've got that peace, and there's other days it's like I don't. Yeah. But for the most part, I'm at peace with where things are at.
Right. And being somebody, it's in our DNA to fix things. You can't fix everything. There are some things that just take time and patience and trust in the Lord. And it'll happen in His time. That's a big thing I take.
Yeah. So, in other words, you basically do what you can to be prepared, learn these skills, but ultimately it comes down to trust, and that a lot of things is not within our control.
Yeah.
We've got to roll with it.
Exactly. I mean, you can have all the food you want in your freezer, but when the power goes out, if you're not ready for that, that's a big loss.
Or you have to flee the area and just
lose everything. Yeah.
It's pretty inspiring what Ken and Amy are doing, using their homestead to raise food. It's like they're using their homestead as a ministry to serve their community during this time of need. And there's a number of ways that you can help them out in their efforts. For starters, you can send them donations directly. I provided their Venmo link in the show notes below of where you can send those donations to help them out with some of the things like Amy mentioned earlier. And you can also get them some of the items that they have on their Amazon wish list. Next, you can rent out one of their cabins. Come stay on vacation, or come stay to help volunteer in Hot Springs or some of these surrounding areas that could use your help. And lastly, you can go to their YouTube channel, Mountainside Homestead with Ken and Amy, and follow along their journeys and hear some of their stories firsthand of some of the things that they went through during Event Helene. And I plan to visit others who have been impacted by Event Helene, so stay tuned. Also, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel here, and share this video with some friends and family. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Good morning. We are at 2 days now without power. This area has been hit really hard with major flooding. They're talking like weeks before we can get power back. In addition, the cell phone towers are down. They're not getting power to them. Wi-Fi is out. Obviously we have no water because we're on a well. So we're pretty much isolated and cut off from regular society right now. We usually sell our eggs like once a week to 4 different places. One of those places was destroyed. 2 of them I can't get to because the bridge is out and the other place has no power. So this morning what I'm gonna do is, I don't know if you can see them, it's kind of dark. I'm gonna make up a week's worth of eggs, scramble them up, and bring them to town for the people who are working the relief efforts. We have a place behind the rafting company. There's a lot of people, but they are cooking up all the food that was in the freezers of some of the restaurants that they were able to salvage. So they're cooking that all up before it goes bad. And there's just like a meeting place where everybody's getting together in the town, eating and working together, and it's actually really cool seeing the community come together. So I'm just gonna bring some breakfast this morning